Hello and welcome to the Collapse Experiment. If you enjoy this video, please remember to like and subscribe. Now, on to the article. If you feel like you're always behind in life, say goodbye to these 7 habits. What 7 habits do I need to get rid of? Please tell me. This is by Farley Ledgerwood. Is this an old guy? Who's Farley? Of course they don't have a picture of Farley. It just goes to a link of all of his previous articles. No, nothing about Farley. But his picture looks like he is wearing a fedora, a leather jacket. I mean, the picture is like that small. So, seeing a white beard and a gray, possibly button-up shirt. Not what you usually see on some of these websites, but this is Global English Editing. So I don't know, maybe they have like an old crew working over there, but I'm kind of hopeful now because I don't like these people who are sipping on their mocha lattes and having AI generating their articles for them. So let's see what Farley has to say. Ever get that sinking feeling like everyone else got the memo on how to do life except you? Like no matter how hard you try, you're always a few steps behind. You're not alone. That quiet sense of panic, the internal checklist you never seem to catch up with. It eats away at your confidence and peace of mind. Farley, you're speaking to me. Let's see what else he has to say. I felt it too, scrolling through social media, hearing about someone's promotion, engagement, new house, new baby. It can feel like you're constantly playing catch up with milestones that were never even yours to begin with. This is one of the reasons I hated Facebook and Instagram. I didn't really look at other people's Instagram. I primarily just posted my own shit and people whined and complained about it. But here's the thing, sometimes it's not your circumstances that are holding you back, it's the habits that you've unknowingly adopted along the way. The good news, you can unlearn them. Let's talk about the 7 habits that might keep you in the loop of feeling behind and what it looks like to finally step out of it. Please, Farley, help me. Number 1, dwelling on past mistakes. Not too long ago, I spent several months obsessing over a missed business opportunity. Okay, yeah, I could see that. I replayed every wrong step in my head and kept telling myself, if only I'd made a different choice back then. Well, you're probably trying to take the conservative option of, I don't know, not losing money. Now, the thing is, if it turned out the other way and he lost a shit ton of money, he'd be doing the exact same thing. So, yeah. The result, I became frustrated and demotivated because I felt like my mistake had forever put me behind everyone else. The truth is, when we fixate on the past, we rob ourselves of the present moment's potential. You can't move forward if you're always looking backward. By all means, reflect on what went wrong and see what you can learn, but don't set up permanent residence in yesterday's failures. One thing I've discovered is that a lesson learned can be more valuable than any short-term success. If we keep that perspective, we free ourselves to try again, to do better, to catch up to whatever we dream of going. Wherever we dream of going. 2, comparing yourself to everyone else. I fucking hate that shit. I won't pretend to have it all figured out, but one piece of advice to try to live by is compare to learn, not to lament. Compare to learn, not to lament. Okay. Years ago, I used to scroll through social media. Bad idea. Seeing people apparently living their best lives. Bullshit. Traveling to exotic places. Fake. snagging promotions, starting families. The kid's not his. And I get the sinking feeling that I was hopelessly behind. But I realized that comparing my real life struggles to other people's highlights reels were like comparing apples to oranges. Instead, I started seeking aspiration rather than competition. If I noticed someone excelling in an area I admire, I ask myself, what can I learn here? This mental shift changed everything. It keeps me focused on my growth, not on beating someone else or catching up to a timeline that might not even be right for me. As Jordan Peterson once said, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. Waiting for the perfect moment. Bullshit. There was a stage in my life when I believed the perfect time would magically appear for me to chase my goals, start writing, switch careers, or even begin a new hobby. Doesn't happen. I convinced myself I needed just a bit more money in the bank, or a little more time in my schedule, or maybe the planets to align. Weird. Of course, the ideal moment never arrived. We often sabotage ourselves by waiting for it someday to come. Oh my God, that was like every adult I grew up around. Well, someday, maybe. That mindset leaves us potentially trailing behind because we're always anticipating a future condition that keeps slipping further away. I recall reading an older gem of a book, The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz, where he says, action cures fear. True. And it's true. Once you start, even in a small way, you can find the momentum you need. Don't wait for perfection. Just take the first step, imperfect as it may be. Number 4, overcommitting and saying yes to everything. Yeah, I primarily just say no to a whole lot of shit. And then when I do say yes, I wish I had said no. I learned this one the hard way in my 50s. So he is an older dude. When I found myself attending every single event, helping everyone who asked, and stacking up deadlines like there was no tomorrow, he should have stopped that shit in his 20s. Not lying. I ended up spreading myself so thin that I couldn't see progress in the areas that mattered most. Sometimes feeling behind isn't about lacking ambition. It's about having too many unrelated commitments. If your calendar is jam-packed with obligations that won't bring you closer to where you want to be, you'll keep spinning your wheels. Yup. Cutting back on unnecessary tasks was a game changer for me. Now, before I say yes, I pause and ask myself, will this push me forward or is it just one more distraction? A lot of times you're just helping somebody that really doesn't want to help themselves. Is what's going on. And the reason that they need to ask for your help with whatever it is that they're asking is because they just don't want to do it themselves. They'd rather have somebody else do the work for them. That little question has saved me from overloading my plate and allowed me to focus on what truly aligns with my goals. Neglecting self-care. I used to be guilty of wearing overwork like a badge of honor. I'd stay up late, skip meals, and run on coffee and nerves alone. That was my 20s. Eventually, my body let me know this was a mistake. Burned out hard. When you're drained mentally and physically, it's tough to keep up with everyone, let alone your own aspirations. There's an old quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson I love. The first wealth is health. It's easy to push things like exercise, proper sleep, and mental breaks to the bottom of the list. If you're feeling constantly behind, ask yourself, are you even giving your mind and body a fighting chance? True. A healthier lifestyle can help you think clearer, move faster, and ultimately gain ground where it matters most. You can't outrun poor self-care, no matter how many motivational posters you read. I always hated those fucking things. There's one And yes, I'm going on a tangent here. There's this one poster that they had. It was Kalamazoo County, okay? The county buildings. There's these motivational things that who knows how much fucking tax dollars they spent on these things. And it was a picture of the Great Wall of China, and it said something like teamwork. These people, okay, the people who bought the poster, the people who made the poster, did little to no research at all on how the Great Wall of China was built. Slave labor, and if you died while it was being built, they fucking threw you in as human mortar for the other bricks and rocks that they were stacking into the damn thing. No joke. That's teamwork. That's what Kalamazoo County wanted. Now back to the article. Living with the fear of failure. When I was younger, I avoided any venture that didn't feel like a sure thing. That's what I was taught. Learning back, I realized I missed out on a lot of potential adventures and growth experiences because I was too scared to mess up. Yeah, that was what I learned growing up. That's literally what I was taught. Well, maybe you're not good at that. Maybe you should try something else. Great, because you're never good at anything when you're first starting it. And if you don't keep trying to do it and learn how to do it better, you're just never going to be good at anything, and you're just going to suck at everything in life, being a person, and all the stupid hobbies that you just gave up because you're not good at it the first time. You should just quit and not do it again. And guess what? I spent time worrying. The time I spent worrying only made me feel more behind when I saw peers who took calculated risk and soared, or just stuck with the same thing over time. I come to understand that failure isn't an ending, it's a prerequisite for success. Most people we see at the top of their fields have a graveyard of failures behind them because they're learning along the way. They learn from each stumble and use these lessons as stepping stones. I once read about how Bill Gates faced a major flop before Microsoft took off, and that was eye-opening. He didn't let one failure define him. He regrouped, learned, and tried again. 7, refusing to ask for help or guidance. It's important to know who you're asking it from. Lastly, we often feel behind because we mistakenly believe that we have to tackle every hurdle alone. But seeking help doesn't mean you're admitting defeat. It simply means you recognize that a fresh perspective or a few words of wisdom can get you on a track faster. Brené Brown famously said, "We don't have to do all of it alone. We were never meant to." If you're stuck, look to mentors, coaches, or simply a friend who's walked a similar path. One of the best moves I've ever made was dropping the lone wolf act. It freed me up to learn from others who'd already been where I wanted to go. Let's see. That one, maybe there's some truth to it, but I will say recently in my situation as a writer, self-publisher, I have tried to make the move into building like a community, a group of people like-minded in the same subject matter. Failed miserably on several accounts. So, that one I would be careful on. Like, there's just sometimes where, no, it's best off to just do this. It may take longer, it may be frustrating, but at least you did it yourself, right? So consider shedding one or two of these habits to start. Maybe you'll stop comparing yourself to that overachieving neighbor, or you'll finally ask a mentor for a bit of guidance. Small changes might not immediately you ahead of every curveball life throws your way, but you'll certainly ensure you're not stuck at the same mile marker year after year. So let's go through some of these. Dwelling on past mistakes. It's important to learn from your past mistakes, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm probably guilty of that one. I'll admit that. Comparing yourself to everyone else. That I do not do. Waiting for the perfect moment. That one, that was definitely, that was my 20s. I'll say that. That was definitely in my 20s. Well, if I just do this and do that, no, like you're either working on it or you're not. Overcommitting and saying yes to everything. I learned early on to just say no. Because people will definitely just take advantage of you. So that one I do not do. Usually it's somebody else signing me up for some bullshit that I don't want to do. Neglecting self-care. I don't do that anymore. Living with fear of failure. Can't say I do that either. Otherwise I wouldn't have put out 3 books this year. So if that was true, I would just be shelving everything in a file on my computer and not releasing it. So, or doing YouTube or doing Substack, like that's just not a thing. Refusing to ask for help or guidance. Yeah, I do that, and usually people just don't respond. And as for like friends, and I don't really have any close friends anymore. I do have a few, but they're not really around. I would say that they're out there. I think the only reason we still get along anymore is limited contact. I'll put it that way. Because everyone else that I tried to stay close with fell apart. So, anyways, that is it for that article. Let me know, do you have any of these habits? Do you remember when you got rid of them? Did you not have them at all? Let me know in the comments section. Until next time, keep on typing.